been times where I've done virtual therapy with Kingston, and he like literally is like, bye, and he clicks it and turns it off.
Yeah, like 5 or 10 minutes into the session, we're like, you're done?
So speaking of chasing the standard, let's talk about the Broncos real quick, obviously.
Good segue.
The Chargers fan base is really, really cool, really, really welcoming, mostly, especially if you're at SoFi.
The preparation for...
Where's my Jayhawk question at, man? That's what I want to know.
It's coming right here.
Oh, if they take one message from this book, I would say not to compare yourself with others.
Well, it's that time of the week again, folks. West War Room Rivals here on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching, I'm here with my comrades, Ethan down below, the Charger rep, and we got Corey and Austin in the opposite corner, the Broncos and Chiefs fan. Fellas, how's it going tonight?
Yeah.
That good? Well, I see you're wearing your Cubs jersey. Are they doing okay tonight?
No, they actually gave up a home run right before we just went live, but at least Pete hit another home run, so some things are going right.
Is he going to be dealt at the deadline, or
what?
Are the Cubs going to be sellers or buyers? What do you think?
Well, I mean, they're not going to trade PCA. Come on now.
I'll tell you what, we as the Giants will give you Rafael Devers for PCA straight up.
Yeah, no.
That's a good trade.
That's such a good trade. No,
yeah, that's a good deal.
All right,
Cody, that's why you're not the GM.
Well, yes, that's why we're sitting here together on the screen, and I'm not making millions in San Francisco right now. So, anyways, anything else? Anything good happened this week, fellas? Last week we talked QBs. We got a lot of debating going on. So, anyone see anything funny regarding any of the comments?
Well, I mean, just another week of pissing people off.
Yeah, I was called some names on a platform this week. So all in good fun, I think. There's nothing like saying some things or having some opinions on the quarterbacks we have in our division.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, I think it was the Bo Nix one we put, or I think it's the meme that you had made. And I don't, yeah. And again, I'm not trying to say you were rage baiting anybody, but it definitely stirred up some feelings amongst fan base.
Rage baiting people.
I mean, I hate to say it. Charger fans are so easy to rage bait. They're the number one. Everyone's like they have no fans, but the problem is the fans that they do have will go to the ends of the earth to defend anything that has to do with the name Herbert.
Well, and it's true, and it's good for them, but it's like it's the only time they come out of the shadows. Like they won't come out and just like have a nice conversation. Or at least on X for me, they'll only come out when I post things like that, it was good. There was a couple Charger fans who were actually willing to like have a conversation on it, right? They were like, hey, let's talk this out. Like this is outrageous. But they only come out to defend Herbert and call people names. Like,
well, and on Instagram, I saw two Justin Herbert fans arguing with each other over different Justin Herbert statistics and facts. And then one of them says, guy, we're literally arguing for the same guy. Like we're on the same team. Relax.
They were so fired up. They had to yell at each other a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear every social media personality just throws out top 10 lists and just puts Herbert in a weird spot just so people will respond to it. Because they know Charger fans will react every single time. I mean, and I did it this week too. I'm not gonna lie. I was also replying to top 10 lists all week.
The next rage bait post that comes out will be Justin Herbert like ranked 11th amongst quarterbacks, and then that's gonna fire everything up. So
yeah, and there were some good ones where Charger fans they laughed about it. Like it wasn't all bad. There was some good fun. There was one dude who took it serious and was like, Herbert's the greatest quarterback in the world, and I'm like, well, okay, like let's not go from one extreme to the other here. Let's meet in the middle, but it wasn't good fun, I think. So yeah, if there's one thing you want to do to get Charger fans out, just say something about Herbert.
Yeah, or compare him to Bo Nix, which got everyone fired up. And speaking of Bo Nix, he returned from his ankle injury today in minicamp, so I'm sure you were excited to see that, Corey.
It's what I've been telling everybody all along.
Yeah.
Boom. So he wasn't excited. He was just right.
I know, and then he addressed the whole like ankle messed up thing because of internet people putting out the wrong images or whatever. He's like, it's just weird how people believe that stuff.
Remember that episode we were doing and you guys had brought that up and I was like, you guys didn't look at that image very closely. That's definitely Alex Smith's leg.
Yeah.
Well, I think we just mentioned, like, are you any concerned?
His ankle, why would his whole leg be sawed to get like sawed up? Like, it's literally an ankle bone. They're not going to shave your leg from your knee all the way down to your toes.
Kind of.
The Alex Smith thing was insane.
It was super insane, and I'm not at all taking any. I'm just like,
they used a different image,
anybody, but it's just like, don't use that image. Like, holy cow! Like, at least put. Yeah, it is what it is. But I know that he didn't partake in certain drills today, but he was making a couple comments and they were asking him about, are you going to be worried when you run? He's like, I might actually run better. He's like, this is the healthiest I've been in 2 years now. So it's a good sign.
I mean, and for the most part, those couple of clips that we saw, he was throwing it pretty well. He was running decent. I didn't see any limping. So it looks like, he's on the right path. So
can I segue us for a second? Speaking of guys who were running on their knee, Rashid Rice was running straight out of prison today.
That's right.
Straight into an SUV, bro. He wasted no time.
I still don't see what people's issue with that was.
Just at least say hi to the camera. Hi, Mom. Like, just, I'm out of jail. We made it.
Like, I'm actually proud that he actually ran away and didn't, like, make stupid comments or anything. But like, I saw people going on that. I'm like, that might be the first smart thing he's done.
I think that was the most open field he ran through all season. So yeah,
let's talk about that jail rehab. That knee looked pretty good.
That's what everyone was saying. That's all the Chiefs fans. They're like, oh, did you see the knee? And I'm like, well, I see him running out of prison.
Was pretty solid.
Yeah. That movement was pretty quick.
Straight out of jail.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. He looked healthy. He didn't say anything stupid. All right, might be progress for a guy.
How many weeks do we have until the regular season? Is it 11? Is that right?
A lot of time.
Way too long.
Way too much.
Give him the keys.
Yeah, a lot
Andy
of
Reid's
time.
going to be like, Rice, I need you to stay here for a couple of weeks.
See what I want? I need the camera on him when he actually meets Eric Bieniemy. That'll be a meeting. I want to be a fly on the wall.
That'll be very, very interesting, especially if Andy Reid gives Bieniemy the empowerment to coach the way he wants to coach. Then yeah,
it could be interesting. So I hope there's some video on that because he won't be able to run away from Bieniemy. So I think that's kind of not to excuse what he's done, but I think that's kind of the Chiefs' last hope. Is I hope Bieniemy can not scare him straight, but instill some accountability into a guy, because you're about at the end of the road with that guy.
I mean, he's literally one more incident away from probably being cut or something. Like he's probably gotten himself out of a extension for sure. But yeah,
in case you're curious.
Don't worry, I'm here.
Yeah, no, he's back.
I'm back. I'm not where I'm usually being. In the light, I could tell it's getting dark, so I want to go turn it on.
There we go.
I just like the use of your name right there. That was nice. I like that, Brandon.
Thank you, Brandon. I'm glad.
Brandon's always the comedian around here when he comments. So shout out to Brandon.
Don't worry.
All right, guys. Speaking of running, it's time to get into another position this week, and that is our running back rooms of the AFC West. So we're going to talk about their strengths, go over some weaknesses, and then at the end, we're going to talk about who has the best room in the division. So I think we should kick this off with probably the most interesting running back room, with being the Chiefs signing Kenneth Walker III. So Austin, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I'll start. I think we'll start with some strengths of Kenneth Walker. It might not be his greatest strength, but it's something the Chiefs haven't had in their running back room for quite some years now. And it's at least one of the things he brings to the table. So I'm going to go with ball carrier vision. He's able to find the holes and create some explosives. Last couple years, we've had to watch Pacheco just run into the back of his linemen because that's where the play is designed. And that's just where he took it. He wasn't actually able to find the hole, hit the hole, and turn it into an explosive. So definitely one of the strengths, ball carrier vision. He obviously, his strength is probably making people miss. I think I saw he faced the third or fourth highest rate of stacked boxes but still had one of the better explosive rates in the league as well. So that's kind of, turning nothing into something, let alone, an explosive. So excited to see what he can do with the Chiefs. We haven't really been more of a 40 to 42% run team under Andy Reid. So I'm just curious if he's going to get enough work to find that rhythm and have the impact. But, he makes people miss. He's explosive. One of my favorite highlights of just running backs in general the last couple of years was that little sidestep he did to the Rams linebacker in the hole. That's kind of what he's bringing to the Chiefs that the Chiefs haven't had. Not even that kind of, you're probably looking as far as explosiveness and ability to miss, not comparing them, just saying we haven't had that since like Jamal. We've had some okay running backs since him, but as far as just explosiveness and ability to make people miss, he brings a whole new dynamic to the offense. And I think the success he's going to have is really what they're leaning on for the rest of the offense to open up the passing game and everything. So Kenneth Walker, it's going to be different than what we've seen. We're going to actually hopefully see some explosives, some dudes miss. He's dynamic in the screen game. I don't know, and I'll touch on it later a little bit on this, but we have a lot of backs who can be used in our running back room. So I'm curious to see how much we utilize him as a pass catcher. But he has that ability as well. So a lot of strengths that he brings to the Chiefs just in comparison to what they've had. So I'm excited. They obviously spent a lot of their cap space on getting Kenneth Walker to Kansas City. So hopefully they utilize it and make it worth it. But I'm excited.
Yeah. And then also too, with Bieniemy being the coach as a former running back, I'm sure that's going to, the two being on the same page makes it different. And kind of like what you alluded to last week, talking about Patrick Mahomes, having that run game just really to protect Mahomes, I think will change the dynamic. But who do you think would be the second running back in this offense?
That's tough for me because when we made the depth signing of DeMarcado, I was excited. I mean, with his limited touches, I think he was top 15 in explosive runs. Like, I know most people remember him for dropping the ball right before he crossed the pylon, but you got to remember that was after busting it for like 60 some yards.
Right.
So he has some explosiveness to him. I thought it was easily going to be him, but Emmett Johnson looks pretty dangerous. I think second is going to be Emmett Johnson.
You think so?
I do. And I don't know what kind of role DeMarcado or even Brashard Smith will have, but if I had to put the depth chart together on what I think Emmett Johnson would go second on the depth chart.
I thought Brashard Smith actually played himself into a second running back last year with his pass catching ability.
Yeah, I don't think he brought enough. I think you're going to see whoever isn't second. So you're probably looking at like Brashard Smith and maybe like DeMarcado as like kick returners. They will all get used, but I think you're going to see Emmett Johnson as the first guy coming in and gets the most consistent run as number two. Like DeMarcado will have his specialty, and Brashard Smith will probably only be like a third down-ish back, or if the Chiefs are trailing, he'll come in and kind of be that receiving back in a pass-heavy offense. But unfortunately, I think Brashard Smith his role is going to be more kick and punt return than anything.
All right, back to Kenneth Walker. Is there one thing you want him to improve on this season?
If there is anything, just because I like his running style and his running abilities, I think just in our offense, just improve pass pro. We aren't a team that typically helps our tackles out a whole lot anyway. We leave them on islands, and I think we've seen what that has done with less than stellar tackles. So if he can just make sure his pass pro is up to speed, is better, keeps improving, that would be the one area I'd want to see him improve and kind of get better at.
Okay. Corey, I'm going to kick it over to you. How difficult do you think the Chiefs offense will be with Kenneth Walker added to it now?
I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Well, I don't mean that in like a bad way. I just mean the Chiefs receivers are obviously the question mark. We see what Andy Reid's done with running backs. I want to see how they use these running backs to help with the receiving, right? Like you got to get something on the outside. Andy loves running those flat routes, those swing routes, the wheel routes. I think if you can get one of those guys to help you with your receivers, I think they can make a difference that way. But as far as like the running game goes, are they going to get a guy into rhythm, or is it going to be one of those where Emmett Johnson's going to force his way onto the field? And I think if that happens, there's no harm in having that two-headed backfield. But then, I thought they underutilized Brashad Smith last year. I thought he could have gotten a lot more run. I thought they could utilize him as far as, moving him around and making him kind of like a joker position, like, motion him out, get him on a linebacker and whatnot. So we'll see. I mean, their offense needs that help.
And then Ethan, for you, for the Chargers and Kenneth Walker, is this like a huge step forward for their improvement, or do you think this is really not going to make that much of a difference?
I mean, I think it's a big improvement. I think Kenneth Walker is a very good player. I just think overall they have explosiveness now, which they didn't have last year. I think that's what's really going to add in because, I mean, why am I blanking on his name? Who was their running back last year? 7th round pick out of Rutgers. Pacheco was like the worst back in the entire league.
Yes.
And he literally just ran into a brick wall. And so he was just like a waste of a rush. I'm pretty sure he averaged like under 3 yards a carry. So I just think the addition of Kenneth Walker is going to help their offense. The question is how much. Yep. And I think that's to be seen because Andy Reid really hasn't utilized bell cow running backs at all. I mean, the biggest thing for the Chiefs moving forward is if Kenneth Walker gets hurt, I have almost no faith in their backup options to be primary guys. Like they're good role players if there is a number one, but none of those guys are stepping up to have 20 touches a game.
Mm-hmm. I think it makes me wonder if going into training camp or after training camp, if maybe they look to another veteran running back that they could maybe give 10 to 12 carries to, so that way it takes the load off of Kenneth Walker if they don't trust the other accompaniment to the running back room. I think that's what I'm curious about, if Andy Reid and Bieniemy trust the secondary running backs that much.
I think Emmett Johnson at some point is going to be a starting running back for them. Not this season, obviously, but I think going forward, I think he can be that work. And I think having a coach like Eric Bieniemy that's going to be able to help him with his running style. Now, I don't think you're going to go out there and say, hey, I want you to get 20 touches. Nope. I think he can be that 10 to 12 carry guy. Mm-hmm. And it's just how can he adjust from college to the NFL? I think his framework and a lot of the draft people were high on what he was doing. And I kind of had my eye on him over Jonah Coleman there for a little bit as well for Denver to possibly do it. So, I think Emmett Johnson could be that guy.
Yeah, and I think two things. Like to what Ethan said, if Kenneth gets hurt, I think DeMarcado would step in as a starter. He got a lot of run as a starter behind James Conner and all the injuries Conner had. I think Emmett Johnson's number 2 role is safe. But I think the biggest impact that Kenneth Walker can have is to quit letting teams just sit back and basically play 2 deep, rush 4, no stacked boxes. Because, I mean, Chiefs saw stack boxes at the lowest percentage last year, and for a good reason. So I think his impact would be able to, now teams might have to bring up a safety or play a little closer to the line and help the passing game. So if he can have that impact, I think that's where it will matter more than anything else he can do running.
Yeah. All right. Corey, let's go over to the Broncos running back room. Give us your Broncos running back that you think has the most strength and give us some rundown on it.
Yeah, so I'm going to touch on a little bit of each of these guys a little bit. So obviously in 9 games last year, JK had 772 yards, 4 touchdowns. So we know what he was on pace to do. I believe when he got hurt, he was in the top 5. So obviously he fits with what Sean wants to do in running the football as far as that goes. And then you can look at RJ, 147 for 540 and 7 touchdowns, but he did have 47 catches. And I think that's going to be RJ's primary role this year is to be that pass catcher out of the backfield. And Sean was finally starting to able to get him kind of utilized correctly and, get the mismatches on for RJ in the passing game. So if RJ can take that next step and learn how to run, in between the tackles and not try to cut everything to the outside, which he struggled at doing last year, I think RJ is going to be a very good, viable number 2 running back. And then obviously with Jonah Coleman being a rookie, he's obviously strong in the pass protection. You can put on the film. While he was at Washington, that was one of his favorite things to do. He talked about it openly during the combine about, who they paying, the $100 million to, that you got to protect him or you're not going to get paid. So I like where his mindset is. Obviously his weakness is running inside as well, but he can also get, he can do the one cuts. He did a lot of shimmies and got out of tackles that way. And he only fumbled once in 4 years at Washington. So that's another bonus. And then the wild cards, Jaleel McLaughlin, obviously he has the speed. He averaged over 5 yards a carry, very limited in his role. And I thought, with Sean, it's hard to get running backs into that rhythm. So that's kind of what I want to see Denver work on this year, is get those guys in a rhythm. Stick with the hot hand. Sean in his offense, the knock on that last year was to changing out of personnel literally every play instead of just trying to stick with something. So let's see what Davis Webb can do in keeping those personnel groupings. Obviously, JK, things he knows to improve on, it's the injuries. And you can't control those. But, we see it. 153 for 772 and 4 touchdowns in 9 games. He even almost did it with the Chargers too, right? Like he all right, dude, we're going to have to boot you out if you continue. Come on, we're here to have a good time, not listen to your nonsense. So come on, let's keep the chat calm and cool. All right. We will boot you if it continues. Anywho. But RJ is obviously the number 2 back. I think, Jonah's not too far behind, especially if he can run the football. I expect Jonah to be the goal line, short yardage guy. Those, you need the 2 to 3 yards. We can get that with him. I think the wild card is going to be Jaleel McLaughlin and Tyler Bidet. I think that's going to be the final running back spot, and it's going to be one of those 2 guys, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, that's not really helping as much as you think. So I guess my question with Dobbins is, do you think he can be like a 3-down back, or do you think like maybe McLaughlin is going to have to take 30% of this share to preserve JK?
I think they're going to be smarter with it this year. And I think you have, Sean's always had the multiple running back sets, especially in New Orleans when they were at their best. They had the 3 running backs. So you kind of look at that way, and at least get it down to the 2, right? So you look at JK and then RJ, and then obviously Jonah's going to kind of be that handcuff just in case something happens with JK. But I think they're going to be smart with it. I honestly wouldn't look, maybe the first quarter of the season, look at JK to get maybe 12 to 15 touches, if that. I think they're going to have a balanced workload between the 3 of those guys. So, they're going to have to be calculated with this. And I think that's why it's not a bad thing to have, the other 2 guys behind them, possibly 3.
Yeah. Ethan, what's your thoughts on this mixed bag of a Broncos running back room?
Denver's running back room, I think, has the potential to be the best in the division. I think it has the highest upside, and I think it might, I'm not going to say the most well-rounded, but I think it has the most explosive players. J.K. Dobbins has proved that when healthy, he's one of the better backs in the entire league. He had almost 1,000 yards in 12 games. Denver, he had a similar output. Problem is he just can't stay healthy, and I don't think he's played a 16-game season his entire career. RJ Harvey is a good player. Problem is he's not very good at running the football. And so we'll see if that improves, because he's a great 3rd down back if he can fill that role. But the problem is you have J.K. Dobbins, who has proved that he can't stay healthy. So you kind of run into that issue. And then we have a rookie who comes in, and as we've seen from Ashton Genty and Amarian Hampton, when rookies come in, even if they're good at pass protection in college, sometimes the physicality of the NFL game can kind of throw that off. So even if that's their calling card, it still takes a while. And so I think the room has the potential to be really good. I just think there's a lot of question marks, and it all hinges on whether J.K. Dobbins can stay healthy. And so I think that's my take on it.
Yeah, and I think to kind of give away my answer to who the best running back room in the division is, I can't give it to Denver just because of J.K. You know, that kind of that hurts, because this, like Ethan said, it has the potential to be really good. It's just that one wild card. And what we talked about all offseason is we knew he was a free agent. It's, you know, there's options out there. Is he the best option when healthy? Probably. But like Ethan said, he hasn't played a full season.
Austin, give us your thoughts on this Broncos running back room. You're hearing a lot of chatter. What is your thoughts as a Chiefs fan?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just agree with everything they said. Like, there's a lot of potential there. And I think every year we see for in a whatever amount of time how good J.K. Dobbins is. I mean, with the Ravens, with the Chargers, even with the Broncos, you see what he brings to the table when he's on the field. There's no denying his abilities. I just think as your whole actual run game is so dependent on J.K. Dobbins staying healthy, because, you know, RJ didn't prove he could run it last year. We still don't know what kind of a runner Jonah would be. So I think Ethan was spot on. Like, this has the potential to be either the best in this division, or it can literally be one of the worst in the NFL. Like, honestly, like, there's such a wide range of what this running back room could be. We never wish injuries on anyone. So, like, I'm always this is a hard one, because we always just want to talk like we're going to get, you know, players are going to stay healthy. But, like, J.K. Dobbins is kind of that one guy where, like, you really can probably, you don't want to, but you can chalk it up to probably not getting a full 17 games in, as unfortunate as it is, which does just leave a big question mark. So I think it helps to have I think they have 4 running backs you'd feel comfortable with taking the field. The rushing attack leans on JK, but I still think they have enough back there to where they can make enough of a run game. But yeah, you hate to put it all on JK, how good they can be. But again, if he's healthy, he's top 10, top 12. You know, he's a true RB1.
Right.
Legitimately, he has been everywhere he's been. So I like what they have in the running back room, but as far as the true rushing attack, I think it's JK, and then after that, you probably get a little worried as far as true rushing attack.
Well, I think, like to what Corey said, RG Harvey's vision has to improve, because I think, like, if you can lean on RG Harvey to be like that supplement or McLaughlin, that would relieve JK from having to do 30 carries a game. Not saying that that's what he does, but, you know, for JK, he was the first running back in Denver's, I can't remember for how long, that had a 100-yard rushing game multiple times. So, like, he's very important to the offense, and thankfully he's running behind a good offensive line. But I think this is the interesting thing with the Broncos is JK's talent is here, but the secondary is a little bit further than what you would want. And to Corey's point, I think having Davis Webb calling some of the plays, maybe you get like Marvin Mims in there to kind of like play a little bit of a joker role in that running back and receiver to get a little bit of a different look on that offensive side of it. And maybe that saves touches for JK, McLaughlin, and whoever. Because, like, looking at JK's age, he's 27, and I hate when there's the whole age thing thrown in the NFL, but for running backs who get hit almost every other play, who take a lot of brunt force from protecting the quarterback or whatever, like, he's 27 and he's had a couple of major injuries that are only taken away from what his ability is. And in a way, like, Denver's got to kind of treat him like an older starting pitcher that you're just kind of like saving him extra rest days, so that way you can use him when you need him, which is in December, in January, if you make it that far. Or, you know, hopefully in the Broncos, what their hope is to meet have him ready to go in February if they get that far as well. So I think if ever there's an offense that really can get that second running back up there, I think the Broncos with their offensive line and Davis Webb have a good opportunity to bring that second running back forward to help JK. And they're going to need it too. JK is not going to be like 1,000% probably, week one. They're going to need those extra running backs to give extra touches to make that offensive flow.
Yep.
Yeah, and they talk about just unlucky for JK, right? Like that dude was well on his way to being in the conversation for a rushing title last year when he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then just one of those hip drop tackles, right? Like falling on your ankle and costing him the season and the playoffs. And it's like, I think not even just as like Bronco fans, but I kind of want to see what a full 17 game J.K. Dobbins looks like. Personally, like, does he maintain pace? Does he get better the more the year goes on? Kind of like not saying, but like a Derrick Henry, right? Like he's a pretty good running back, but you get to those later months, later weeks, and he turns into a whole nother animal. Like, I just kind of want to see a full season of JK. That's all I want to see, because ever since he came out of Ohio State, right? Anyway, since he came out of college,
he's an Ohio State running back.
Yep.
Yeah, ever since he came out of college, we've been holding our breath with him, and I just want to see it once for his sake.
Well, and who knows? His career was on the way. I think his rookie year, he almost had 1,000 yards with Baltimore. Even with the Chargers 2 seasons ago, I think he was in the neighborhood of 700 and something.
No,
he almost
was
had
at 950.
950. Okay, and he almost had 10 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, he had 9.
Yeah, so he was like a bell cow for, the Chargers team, and then again injury, and it, some of them are his fault or not his fault. I mean, you can't figure out when you're gonna have a freak injury, but I think that's one of the unfortunate parts about the running back position is it's so fragile. Like one bad injury takes so much away from your career. I mean, Todd Gurley is not as old as Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry's still in the NFL, and Todd Gurley can't because he has, bad knees from multiple injuries. So
you guys want to hear a crazy fact about Todd Gurley that you guys want to know? He's eligible for the Hall of Fame this year.
That's wild.
Yeah,
he's been out of the league for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And I love Todd Gurley. But like what Cody was saying, it takes just I think what started his downfall for Todd actually was in that Chiefs 56-49 game or whatever with the Rams. He just took a wrong step out of bounds on the sideline, no contact or anything, and it kind of just derailed from there. So it's you just never know as a running back. And kudos to JK for keep getting up after each one of these injuries. I'm not a Broncos fan, but it kind of fits what Denver's franchise has kind of always been, right? They're never flashy or anything, but they're kind of just gritty and tough is kind of how, at least in my lifetime, that's how I would describe Denver. So he fits that locker room and that team and that city and everything. But yeah, it doesn't take much for a running back to have things derail. Yeah. And, kudos to JK for keep getting up.
Cody, for time reasons, let's go ahead and move on to the other teams.
Yep, going on. All right, so I'll talk about Ashton Jeanty real quick. Rookie year, he had 975 rushing yards on 266 carries. That was only good for 3.7 yards per carry. But as everyone knows, the Raiders' offensive line was terrible. It was cheeks, ass, put in the adjective. It was exactly what it was. But Jeanty did also have the third most targets in terms of receptions for the Raiders. So he had 73 targets and converted 55 of those into catches. He had 5 receiving touchdowns along with 5 rushing touchdowns. So definitely a versatile back. And one of the things when I was doing a little bit of research on this is he had 2 really, really good games. One against Chicago where he had a rushing and a passing touch or a catch touchdown. And he went over 100 yards. And another one, which actually got me to say Ashton Jeanty year 2 is going to be very, very interesting to watch because I want to say it was week 15, there was the Houston Texans game where he had 24 carries on 128 rushing yards, 1 touchdown for a rush, and then a 60-yard pass touchdown that he caught basically against the Houston Texans at home. And I double-checked the rosters. All of Houston's starting defense was in there. So I was maybe Anderson was off or whoever. No, all the starters for Houston's defense was there. And granted, it was a close game. It was a one-score game. Raiders lost, as of course. But the fact that him as a rookie running back with proverbially a bad offensive line had that good of a rushing game. And in my opinion, with Colton Miller coming back, with JPJ coming back healthy, with having Tyler Linderbaum now starting center, I think Ashton Jeanty is poised to have an even better second year. Majority of the time, skill positions like running back and wide receiver in year 2 have the most improvement in that season. So, like, in my opinion, at least, Ethan, I'm sure you'll counter that. But like with RG Harvey, that's why I say I'm curious to see what his improvement on. And for Jeanty, with how he rushed in between the tackles, how he trucked everybody, I've seen more highlights of him like running people over than really breakaway rushes. Honestly, that's pretty much why the offensive line was so bad. But I see this offensive line a little bit better to where Ashton Jeanty is not going to get hit 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage every single play like what he was going through. And he's not going to have, Geno Smith turning the ball over to where you can't even get Ashton Jeanty the ball because they're playing from behind almost every game that they're in. So that's my only thing about Ashton Jeanty. Obviously, with Mike Washington being drafted too for the Raiders, that makes it a very interesting duo. Clint Kubiak likes to run a dual running back system. In Seattle, he had, obviously, Kenneth Walker had over 1,000 yards, but Charbonnet also had 730 rushing yards on his own with 12 touchdowns. So he loves to use a bigger size back on the goal line, which Mike Washington will definitely benefit from if Ashton Jeanty doesn't get in. And obviously, with Clint Kubiak being the head coach, I see this rushing attack being a lot more effective for the Raiders than last season with Chip Kelly and interim Greg Olsen. So that's my little thing about the Raiders. And for Jeanty to improve on, honestly, it's just making sure that when he sees the holes, he explodes. And I'm not saying he hesitates because, again, the running back, the offensive line situation was terrible. But with Jeanty, it's just about when you make one direction to, instead of eluding to get like 1 extra yard, just continue the run so that way you get that outside push. I think that's what a lot of the runs I saw where he was so worried about dodging whatever that defender was, is if he continues, he's probably getting another 4 extra yards. And you're going to need that so that way you have less of a chance to go 3 and out on a long 3 and out. We need to capitalize as many yards as possible on his first rush. So that's my little spiel on Ashton Jeanty.
Ethan, did you have a rebuttal on that one comment?
Yeah, I think if your running back is picked in the top 10, there's no room to have like, oh, they're going to improve in year 2. He's the highest paid running back in the league before Jeremiah Love. He doesn't he doesn't get that. I'm sorry, like I understand the argument, but that's the problem with picking a running back in the top 10 is they automatically become the highest paid in their position, so they have to play like it. Right. And so Ashton Jeanty didn't play like that. And like we're going to talk about Amari Hampton in a second, and I'll have a similar critique. I'm just going to say it as a take. I would never take a running back in the first round. And so talking about Ashton Jeanty, talking about Jeremiah Love, I'm always going to be a little bit biased because you can't put that pressure on rookies.
Well, let me ask you for this retort. You just said you wouldn't take a running back in the first round. Are you talking about in the top 10? Or are you talking about first round in general? Because Amari Hampton was a first round pick.
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken Amari Hampton at 21.
Okay.
I would not take a run. I would only take premium positions.
Okay.
Just because I think contract value wise, it's the only thing that makes sense because Amari Hampton is the 7th highest paid running back in the league.
Dive into Amari Hampton, then let's keep going.
All right. We'll talk about the Chargers. So I'll talk about Amari Hampton, but I'm just going to get this take out there first. I think we're talking about over top to bottom. This is the most diverse running back room. And I think from top to bottom, it's probably the best. While you're talking about star power, number 1 running back might not be the best division. But when you look at all 3 as a 3-headed monster, I think it's far and away because all 3 are capable backs. But I'll start off with Amari Hampton. Amari Hampton, if you want to look at what he can be, look at the Giants game from last year. Week 4, this is when he really got started. Najee Harris just tore his Achilles. This was his first game as a bell cow before he got hurt, where he tripped over the Commander's ankle, broke it, and then was out for 9 games. This is the first time we really got to see him. So Amari Hampton is 6 foot 220. So he's a bigger back. He's not your most ideal size, but last year he averaged 4.4 yards on the ground. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm going to be talking about what's called rushing success rate, which rushing success rate is the idea of on first down, they get 5 yards. So they make it halfway, or second down, wherever they're at, they're making it halfway to the sticks. And then on third down, it's converting third downs. So Omarion Hampton had a huge impact on the Chargers' rushing success rate. As a whole, everyone loves to bring up the Chargers were successful because they had the 11th best rushing attack in the league. They were not that good last year. In fact, they were 27th in rushing success rate. They just ran the ball a lot. So they ended up with a ton of yards, but it was super unsuccessful. Now, with Omarion Hampton, they were 18. So it's not as good, but it's better than where they were. Now, Omarion Hampton, what he's really good at is he's really tough to bring down. He's a big body back who always keeps his leg moving. He's a one-cut kind of runner. As soon as he sees the hole, he's going to hit it. He has plus speed, so he's able to break away. He had a 54-yard touchdown in that Giants game. He had over 10 explosive runs, which is over 10 yards. And his feet are always, always moving. He's never going down. Now, when we look at the things he struggles at, his pass protection last year was pretty horrible, just to be kind of blunt. He could not protect Herbert, and it did not help that he had to be a tackle on some of these plays because the tackle play was so bad that he had to go line up out there, and they had multiple guys coming, so he had to really think about it, but he was really bad in pass protection. He also did have a fumble in only 9 games, which can be concerning. And to Charger fans, it'll bring back shades of Melvin Gordon because that is what we're talking about. But he is also
Broncos legend Melvin Gordon
and Chiefs legend. That's where he won a ring.
Yeah.
He also had 32 receptions, and so he had 192 yards. He's only averaging about 6 yards there. Again, a lot of this was just dump off plays in the backfield from Herbert almost getting absolutely massacred in the backfield. So I don't know if you really want to talk about his catchability because a lot of those receptions are just dump offs. But talking about the other backs, Kamani Vidal played for the majority of the season last year. He started the other 9 games. And in that, he averaged about 4.1 yards. He had 3 touchdowns. He's not much of a red zone player. In fact, within the red area, he was highly ineffective. But in between that area, he's pretty good. I don't love Vidal. I'm just going to be honest, but I think as your number 3 guy, I think he's a great option there, and he gets paid $1 million. So I'm not going to talk that much about it.
Well, he was pretty serviceable for you guys in relief for Hampton. I think he had a couple of pretty good rushing games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, he had 643 yards last year. He's a good player. He had 155 attempts. He was averaging 4.1. He was actually cut on the 53 man. He didn't actually make it. They brought him back. So good success story for him. He's going to turn it into a payday.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like him as a draft player. So this might be a draft priors kind of thing. He's not the kind of running back I like to watch just because he's one of those small, like bowling ball type guys. If you're ready for ball knowledge, it's like Mike Tolbert back in the day, kind of.
Yep.
And I don't particularly like that style of running back just because I think in an offense where you have a quarterback as good as Herbert, you need explosive plays out of the backfield, and just chipping away at 2-3 yards doesn't really do you much because you really need to get Herbert into second and short situations so that they have the option to go play action and take shots downfield. Which brings us to, I think, the best addition of outside of obviously Kenneth Walker, I think the best addition out of any running back room, which is Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah.
Keaton Mitchell is exactly what the Chargers needed because it's what Hampton and Vidal don't have, which is explosive play ability across the board. This guy, he's only 5'8". He's weighing in at 191, according to the Chargers. Last year, he had 47 attempts and he had 196 yards, which is an 8.4 yard average. So this is a guy who's eating up chunks. And in a Mike McDaniel's offense where they're just running through and going in wide zone, it's going to be like a Devon Achane look to it. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Devon Achane, but he's going to play a similar role because Omarion Hampton isn't going to play like that. Keaton Mitchell has the same issue J.K. Dobbins does, which is injury issues. But here he's the third guy, and he'll likely probably only get 5 to 10 touches a game, which is all the Chargers are going to need. Just an absolute change of pace of where he comes on the field. You can spread him out, and then you have threats in the passing game. Everyone has to become a little bit. And I think the biggest thing that this is going to help the Chargers in is late in games, because now they can hammer Hampton. And then if they want to change it up, they have Mitchell who can go pick up the yards. They have Vidal as well. I think they'll be able to really use these 3 backs to help them as they get further and further into games and have to rely on Herbert less in the clutch, which I think will help the whole team. Now, I'll go through a couple of strengths and weaknesses, and then I'll be done. Biggest strength, I think, is the change in blocking scheme. So Greg Roman runs what's called a gap blocking scheme, which requires the offensive lineman to think a lot more. And that caused a lot of issues and a lot of hits in the backfield. Now they're going wide zone, which all that means is offensive linemen run one way, and they have 2 of the most athletic tackles in the entire league. So it will open up a lot more holes, and I think the running backs are more fit for it. It's a super diverse group. Every single running back is a different size, different build, and has different strengths that build on each other. This is your potential to be top of the league. Now, weaknesses, it's also super boom or bust.
Yeah.
We don't know what Amarian Hampton is yet. Yes, he had flashes, like I said, the Giants game, but we don't know what he is. Kamani Vidal averaged 4.1 and was largely ineffective in a lot of big games outside of 3 good games. Mitchell only played 9 and has never played a full season. It's a new scheme, so we don't know how these running backs will look. And there's injury risk with all 3 backs. None of these guys have played full seasons. Marion Hampton missed 8 games last year. Mitchell missed 9 games. Kamani Vidal wasn't on the roster, so we don't know what his injury looks like, but he's a smaller guy, so we have to assume there's some kind of injury risk there.
That's I would agree that your room is very diverse and very boom or bust, I think, is a very, very big key. And for me, as a owner of Amarian Hampton in the Dynasty League, I'm really hoping he does do well, but that's just for selfish reasons. So I'm going to go around, you guys. We're going to just quickly say who we think is the best running back room in the AFC West. Corey, who's your team?
Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers for said reason. I like the boom factor of this with Mike McDaniel. So, and you guys have heard me talk about Keaton Mitchell since he got signed there. So,
yeah. Austin?
Yeah, I'll go Chiefs. Yeah, I mean, we got 2 of the most explosive running backs by percentage. If we're even looking at the success rate that Ethan was talking about, D. Ricardo and Kenneth Walker are 2 of the best in the division now. And for me, I just think the impact of if they just have a run game, what it does to the passing game. So for me, it's the Chiefs. Kenneth Walker hasn't missed as many games as people think in his career. So out of 3 of the 4 teams, don't also have injury-prone running backs at the top. That, well, maybe not injury-prone, but has played full seasons before. Besides Genty, I think Genty is the most talented running back in the division. But after that, it's a little weak. But yeah, I'm going to go Chiefs just because I think of the impact it can have for the rest of the offense.
All right. I hate to say the Chargers, but I think if the tackles stay healthy and if the running back room stays healthy, Chargers on paper have the best running back room, in my opinion. But I think the Broncos aren't very far behind. And I think it's by committee. And I probably would have said the Broncos because I like their offensive line. I probably would have said the Broncos if there was a number 2 that was close to being able to help be a good number 2 to JK if there was one today. But the Chargers, I think, have more of that now. And so on paper now, I would say the Chargers have the best running back room as of today. Come the end of the season, it's probably going to look a lot different with all sorts of different factors. But today, I'd say the Chargers. Ethan?
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chargers have the best running back room on paper. Now, I think when you look at the end of the season, when you look at lists, I think it's going to be Ashton Genty. I think Ashton Genty is too talented, and Clint Kubiak knows how to create a rushing scheme. But I just think from a whole group perspective, and when we break down the Chargers roster, I think this is how it's going to look at pretty much every position. Is it's really deep. The problem is they just don't have like a top guy that we know of yet. A lot of these guys have question marks of like Amarian Hampton could be a top 5 back at the end of the year, or he could be out of the top 20. There's just a lot of question marks there. So I think the Chargers are the deepest. I just think the Raiders will end up having the most yards because Ashton Denti could legitimately have 1,600 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the Raiders just feeding him like 300 carries in a season just because they can. I don't know if that's great for his career longevity wise, but I can see that happening. But for the most part, I like to think Clint Kubiak has either using Himby, who we got in the drafted free agency draft class, who's also out of Indiana, and then Mike Washington Jr. I hope is an intricate part in the offense to take away a little bit of that every down wear and tear that Genty might have, because we need to preserve him. The 6th pick, you're right, Ethan. Like a top 10 pick in any running back, that's a heavy load to like put on a player's shoulders, and you need to stay healthy throughout your career to even live up to that expectation. Like Saquon Barkley had to go to the Eagles, help them win a Super Bowl, and he was the 4th pick of a running back when he was with the Giants. So
he was still pretty good with the Giants still.
Yeah, see, I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm just saying like he has to live up to that amount of production to make his 6th overall pick like worth it,
Well, the Giants
if he's a bottom 15 running back, it doesn't matter.
That's the thing. The Giants wouldn't redraft Saquon. Like, he was a good player for them, but there's no way they're taking him at number 2 if they could do it all over again.
I would imagine so. And I think there was like, and we're going to go on to League Recon after this, but I think there was a period where first round running backs weren't even going up until a few years ago. Like, I think Saquon was the first round running back taken in a long time, because you had players like Alvin Kamara, and I forgot a bunch of other running backs that were like later round picks, like day 2 or day 3 picks. Right. And like there was no value in drafting a first round running back just because you can find a good one later in the draft with a good scouting team. But anyways, that's besides the point. So let's move on to League Recon. Corey, your favorite division of all time, the NFC North. Let's kick that off. So there was some new head coaches in there, and I kind of just want to the AFC North. Yes. Had some new head coaches in there. So I want to know from you, which team got better with their new coach?
I think this is an obvious answer. And I can speak for me where I don't think it was particularly close. And I think Jesse Minter was the best hire.
Oh, I thought you were going Todd Monk in there for a second.
Yeah, that's obviously the worst one, but Jesse Minter. And I think he's going to have the Ravens defense back to being top 10 very quickly, very soon. I don't know if it's necessarily this year, but it's very soon.
Okay, follow up. Do you think it's going to take him over the top that Harbaugh couldn't do?
I don't know year one, because they do have a new OC, and I do like that OC hire. But I'm not sure if I want to see how it's going to kind of fall together. And I think this coaching staff will use the shit out of Derrick Henry like they're supposed to, though.
I hope so. Ethan, out of the AFC North new hires, who was the best one for their team?
Why even ask me the question? Jesse Minter is from the Chargers. Jesse Minter is, I don't want to call him the prodigal son, journalist. But I think Jesse Minter is the next great head coach. Yeah, players love him. His scheme is fantastic. He basically took Wink Martindale and look at the players that have come out of the Chargers the last couple of years that were just cast-offs. Like, you can look at the defensive linemen. Like, Poona Ford got $1 million to play for the Chargers, and he came out of it a year later with a 3-year, $30 million deal. Tier Tart, same thing. He played for Minter for 1 year, was on a vet minimum contract, and then got paid 3 years, $36 million. Like, these dudes get paid. Benjamin St. Juice, Christian Fulton, who went to the Chiefs, another vet minimum guy, got a 2-year, $20 million deal. It's like the Iron Man thing of like, it's a box of scraps. Jesse Minter did that routinely for the Chargers for players who just, to be honest, were not that good. I think Jesse Minter is the key to the Ravens. Now, do I think they're ready to compete this year? I don't know, because Jesse Minter also now has to coach offense. And we're going to see what that looks like, because they also have an OC who's 29 years old, who's from the Ben Johnson tree. So we'll see what that looks like. But I think from a defensive standpoint, Kyle Hamilton, if you're making a bet, you should put the money on him for Defensive Player of the Year. Kyle Hamilton is about to play the way that Derwin James played the last 2 years, which is 2 All-Pros in a year. And Kyle Hamilton has showed that he has had a higher peak than Derwin did. And I think the Ravens have better players than the Chargers did on defense for those years. I mean, now they have Trey Hendrickson as well. They have Matabike in the middle. I don't know. And they have Roquan Swift. I didn't even say that. Like, I don't know. I think this defense is poised to be top 5, if not one of the best defenses in the league. Question is the offense, but I love Jesse Minter, and I'm glad he got an opportunity somewhere.
Yeah. Austin, do I assume yours? Because mine's Mentor as well. Do you have one? Or who's yours? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Mentor.
Okay. I love that you said that with such enthusiasm. I'm glad you're right there with us. All right. So I'm going to go back to you, Corey, your favorite team. Do the Bengals have enough to regain the power in the division?
No. I do think that they will be improved on the defensive side of the football. I do like what they did there. Zach Taylor's still there, so I'm going to say no.
I'm going to go with, because of so many head coach turnovers, that this is probably their best opportunity. So for that, I'm going to say, yeah, I think this is their best year to regain the North. Austin, what are your thoughts?
I think they did. I think they did just enough defensively to be maybe average, to where if they can keep Joe Burrow healthy, that offense has proven they can put up 40 points a game pretty regularly if Joe's standing upright. So adding Dexter Lawrence, getting some edge rushers, like they added some people on the defense to at least not be complete ass. So I think that's enough for them to take care of this awful division.
Yeah. Ethan?
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily know if they're going to win the division. I think they're probably going back to the playoffs.
You be careful, because I'm sure Clark's watching your answer right now.
Oh, it's okay. He probably feels similar to me. I mean, the key with the Bengals is Joe Burrow. Can Joe Burrow stay healthy? Because that has not been proven. And it's funny. Everyone loves to point out flaws of every quarterback in the top 10. Like, people are even moving down Mahomes because he tore his ACL. But Burrow gets every pass for injuries. No one moves him down this list. He's still in top 5 regardless. He hasn't even finished a season in the last 3 years, and they've missed the playoffs the last 3 years. I get that he went to a Super Bowl, went to 2 AFC championships, but at least be consistent with how you're feeling. I mean, Bo Nix now has fallen out of top 10s, top 15s because he hurt his ankle, but Joe Burrow can have every injury in the book and no one will talk about it. I also, like, from the Bengals perspective, I kind of like their defensive line. I think Miles Murphy showed some stuff last year. I think Dexter Lawrence is a nice addition. They don't have Joseph Osai last year. He was a good rotational piece, but I think they're good. Yes, Burrow hasn't stayed healthy. I totally agree.
Yeah, I really like the offense, and if Burrow's upright, I feel like that carries this team. And again, like what Austin pointed out, just a little bit of changes that they did on the defensive side might make this. And again, like I said, this is their best opportunity this season, because new coaches, it's going to maybe take some of these teams a year to get acclimated unless the Ravens are ready with Minter. But I think this is probably the Bengals' best chance. So with that, I'm going to say I think the Bengals win this division. Ethan, who do you think wins this division?
I think the Ravens do.
Okay.
I think Lamar is the best quarterback in that division, and I think Jesse Minter is the best coach in that division. So I'm just going to follow those tea leaves. If it's the Bengals, I wouldn't be surprised at all. We didn't talk about the Browns or Steelers, but both of those head coaching hires are the worst in the league. And
yeah, there's a reason why I didn't put them on the rundown.
Yeah. No, they're bad. And so, I mean, both of the Ravens and Bengals get the benefit of getting 4 free wins, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think they're both playoff teams. Who ends up winning the division will probably come down to the very end, and if Burrow's healthy.
Corey?
Ravens.
Okay. Austin?
Bengals.
All right, let's move on to the NFC North, and let's talk about Matt LaFleur being on the hot seat. Corey, is this his last season with Green Bay?
Yeah, I'm surprised he even made it through the offseason.
All right. Austin?
Really?
Yeah, he's regressed every season since. So yeah, it should be him and Zach Taylor. Those are the 2 coaches that shouldn't even have been they should have been done after last season.
I think Zach Taylor for sure. I mean, I can see why LaFleur got one more season, but I would agree this is probably his last season. But Austin, what are your thoughts on Matt LaFleur? Is this his last season?
Yeah. I think he's not a very good head coach. Like, you just progressively get worse. But like Jordan Love, his season, like, path is the same every year. Start out slow, hit a stretch to where we look really good, and then just crumble, do just enough to look average, and people think Jordan Love is a top 10 quarterback, and all of this stuff. Yeah, so I definitely think their division is getting way better around them, and I feel like they're still just the Packers, like just the same team that's been there the last few years. So yeah, I definitely think his time there is done.
They went 4-2 in their division. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, they were pretty good last year. I mean, I'll say from a LaFleur standpoint, because he gets all the hate because of the playoffs, he's like a fantastic play caller, and his scheme is really well. That's why he's hard to fire, because he's going to be probably the best offensive coordinator in the league if they let him go. The problem is he's just not a good head coach. I mean, he showed that he elevates minor, like, not great talent. Jordan Love, he turned into a fringe top 10 guy. He just got Christian Watson paid. Jaden Reed got paid. None of these guys are like stars, but he elevates them because he's a good play caller. And so it's like, I mean, I think Zach Taylor should have been more fired than Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, that's what my position was last season. All right,
at some
let's
point
go
you
on.
have to have results, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a business.
At some point, you have to have results. We can go hypotheticals all we want. Like, Mike McDaniel is probably the best offensive mind in the league, but like, at some point, you have to have results.
Yeah, but I mean, I think what I'm saying is, like, Green Bay is not a team that goes through head coaches a lot. Like Mike McCarthy, who was, I think, the coach before Matt LaFleur, was there for what, 12, 13 seasons or something like that. So, I mean, he's Green Bay is just not one that gets rid of coaches a lot, you know. So I think that's why he's probably getting a little bit of grace.
That's why they only have one Super Bowl in how many years?
Yeah, you had one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, and
you had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks before Jordan Love, and you only got one Super Bowl.
Let's not act like those quarterbacks are saints or anything like that.
Is this tough for you to talk about? Is this near and dear to your heart, of teams that don't fire their coaches a lot?
Yeah, they give their coaches chances.
Yeah. Is this different? Is this too hard for you to talk about?
No. I've gone to a lot of therapy to work on this. And actually, there's a video of a guy saying that everyone should be a Raiders fan because it teaches them loyalty, perseverance, and how to overcome adversity on hard Mondays. So
it's a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next team in the NFC North, being the Minnesota Vikings. Ethan, does Kyler Murray have a Sam Darnold-like turnaround in Minnesota?
Does he have a turnaround like Sam Darnold? No, I do not think he's an MVP candidate. Do I think he will be good in the system? Yes. But I don't think it'll be the same as Sam Darnold, where he's getting like a huge contract right afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have a mixed bag on this. I don't really know what it's going to look like. Kyler Murray, I need to see him care about football before I say like anything. I mean, all he cares about is playing Call of Duty. So like, let's see what he actually cares about.
Hopefully there's not a new Call of Duty game coming out within the season. Then that'll really test this out.
Yep, every October.
Oh, shit.
It's November this year.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if that was set up in a certain way to make the Vikings close. So, Austin, do you think Kyler has a turnaround like Sam Darnold in Minnesota?
I'm with you. I don't know about Sam Darnold. I do think Kyler Murray balls out with Minnesota. He's definitely going to be better than, Carson Wentz and JJ McCarthy, and I don't know who all they've thrown out at quarterback recently, but I think he makes him competitive with Brian Flores running that defense. If he can just use the playmakers around him, like, O'Connell is good at doing, I think they can be competitive. I don't know if he's going to lead them to the playoffs like Darnold and everything did, but I do think there's some potential there for the Vikings to be a sneaky, okay team.
Mm-hmm. I like Kevin O'Connell a lot. I think he'll help Kyler Murray along. I don't know about MVP candidate, but I think he will be like fringe top 15, maybe statistically. I don't know if that's a difference maker for Minnesota or not, but I think Kyler will be okay. I don't think he'll have like an Arizona type season. I think Kevin O'Connell is a better head coach than that. So, Corey, did you give us your?
No, I'm going to say the happiest person's Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
However we feel about Murray, he will at least chuck it to his dudes. He did that with D-Hop.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's happier than Justin Jefferson to have a quarterback who can throw the football.
Mm-hmm. True. Corey?
I do think he's going to have a Sam Darnold-like turnaround, and I do like the match with him and Kevin O'Connell. I like the scheme that this is going to fit for him, get him to the outside where he can see the field a little bit better, and then it's going to be a 2-read. He's either going to have a couple right there in front of him, or he's going to be able to run the football to keep him ahead of the sticks. I do like and their defense. I love the Vikings defense and Brian Flores, who should have gotten a head coaching job. Like, what are we doing here? Mm-hmm. I think he could be a good. I thought the Steelers had it right there in front of him, so that's wild to me. But yeah, I do think he's going to have a Sam Darnold-like turnaround, and I think the Vikings are going to make the right decision this time, and they'll keep him around. Now, he's not going to get like a massive bag, but he'll get like a 3-year deal, and kind of go from there. But I like the prospects of that.
All right. So rapid fire, let's go ahead and rank the NFC North quarterbacks. Ethan, I'll let you start.
Best is Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Best is Caleb Williams. Sorry. We hadn't talked about the Bears at all. Best is Caleb Williams. Second is Jordan Love. Third is Jared Goff. 4 is JJ McCarthy / Kyler Murray, whoever it is.
That's a bold list. All right, Corey, give me yours.
Yeah, it's obviously Caleb Williams. Okay, then we're going to go Kyler Murray, and then we're going to go Jared Goff, and then we're going to go Jordan Love. Jordan Love can eat an ass. I can't stand that dude.
Caleb Love all the way at number 2. He's coming off of an ACL injury.
Oh, not Caleb Love. Jordan Love. Either way, Jordan Love.
Oh, okay.
Nah, you guys know how I feel about Jordan Love.
All right. Austin?
Yeah, it's Caleb Williams. Obviously, number 1, it's Jared Goff, and then it's Kyler Murray, and then it's Jordan Love.
Man, I didn't realize you guys all hate Jordan Love so much.
They get triggered when Toyotathon commercials come on. Really not a great time to be around these guys.
I like Jordan Love is only good during Toyotathon.
Well,
but other than that, he's done nothing for me to make me think he's.
Except when he plays Denver and Toyotathon. So
yeah. All right. 1 is Caleb Williams. 2, I would say, is Jared Goff. 3, I would say Jordan Love. 4, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, I just need to see what he looks like coming off of injury before I make him any higher than 4. That's just because I have no idea what he's going to be coming back. So that's my ranking. And who wins the division? Corey.
Yeah, give me the Bears.
The Bears. All right. Austin.
Lions.
Yeah, that's.
I just like what they have, and then they have, based off last year's records, they have got to be one of the easiest schedules we've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
All right. Ethan?
That's where I'm going. I think it's Detroit.
I think it's the Bears, man. I think give me the
Bears.
Didn't do enough defensively, man.
Yeah, that's kind of. But I like Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams is that dude.
You're right, but I think why I'm apprehensive about the Lions is because I think we're at the point where Dan Campbell is like their best shot was 2 seasons ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, new OC. We'll see. It's not Ben Johnson, of course, but sorry, Packer fans.
Such an easy schedule.
Yeah, I know.
It's so cakewalk. It's hard to be. The Bears play the first place schedule, and to be honest, Caleb Williams I think is a very good player. He only completed 56% of his passes the entire last season. That's not sustainable, especially in a Ben Johnson offense where they have easy buttons all over the field and wide open guys. I get the highlight play, and I ranked him the best potential player. If there's anyone who's going to regress out of the top 20, it's going to be Caleb Williams.
See, I disagree. I think he's going to look way better second season. I like the younger receiver, and I know he had DJ Moore last year, and I used to track DJ Moore, but I have high expectations from Luther Burden heading into year 2 as well with this offense. I still like the backfield that they have with Swift and the Nungai. and then obviously the 2 tight ends with Cole Kmet and Loveland. But I think it's going to come down to the defense for me too. So, but I still like the Bears in this just because the Ben Johnson factor.
Yeah, Ben Johnson changes everything. As long as Caleb Williams has Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams will be that dude.
Yeah,
and it's like that Dayball and Josh Allen combo. Like as long as they have each other, like Dayball got Josh Allen really good enough for him to get a head coaching job, and Josh Allen could sustain. As long as Ben Johnson hangs around long enough, Caleb Williams will be elite.
Well,
but that defense is not.
Well, now that there's a whole season of film of Ben Johnson's offense, I mean, do the defenses now?
There's been a whole 2 years in Detroit where they had film on Ben Johnson's offense. He's not doing much different right now. You still see the same. Scheme, the same setup. What he's doing, he's just got different players and a way more athletic quarterback from Jared Goff to now you got Caleb Williams. So the completion percentage obviously is it's kind of an eye raiser where you do have to pay attention to that. You really do, because now let's say he comes back and he has another below 60% completion percentage, then we're gonna have to start questioning is the sexy plays really all that, or do we need to maybe simplify things a little bit more? And I think as the season kind of went on, he got the flashy stuff was still there, but I think he was making better reads. And holy shit, he doesn't need to Cam Newton the football to every one of his receivers every single time.
I love those lasers though, man.
It's okay to put a little touch on those. You don't have to throw 99 to the sideline every time. So,
on those throws, the ones that make me so mad watching Caleb Williams is when he just heaves it as hard as he can to a check down to the running back, like 3 yards away from him.
Cam Newton, man, that's what I'm saying. Like,
he heaves it so hard on like a screen pass. Where he's like overthrowing them by like 3 yards.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my thing.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the episode, you guys. How did we feel about our running back positions? What are we doing?
I want to get this Jeff comment out here because, hell yeah, Jeff.
Sponsor.
Caught us the shit.
JBW Solutions sponsor right there. Shout out to Jeff. Hopefully you're doing well, man. We heard from Matt yesterday, and hopefully he gets home soon. So
we had a fan rank the quarterbacks. Caleb Williams. Okay. Her defense, she's going with Oklahoma first.
Yeah.
There's some cute-looking corgis in that photo.
Not a Sooner homer at all.
Yeah, no, she went. I thought she actually ranked him, and then I read it, and I'm like, oh, she just put the two Oklahoma ones first, so never mind.
I mean, pretty accurate, but all right.
Yeah.
Well,
but
guys,
I feel good, though. We're closer to football.
Yeah, 11 more weeks, and each week it's can't get here any faster. Tomorrow, we actually have a great special guest, Austin, who's our special guest?
Tomorrow we have Mike. I am probably going to butcher his last Camelini from Mile High Monsters. Broncos guy, obviously. I think you could tell by the name, but really fun to interact with. He's a fan who can actually talk and not be biased and have a good time with things.
Also a great content creator himself.
He is a great content creator as well. And then next week, we have confirmed that next Wednesday, former All-Pro running back Steven Davis will be joining us here in the War Room, drafted by the then Redskins. Great time with them, and then he signed with the Panthers. Lost in the Super Bowl to the Patriots in the Janet Jackson Super Bowl.
That's the most important part of that. It was the Janet Jackson Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, he, over 8,000 career rushing yards, almost 10K total yards, 65 rushing touchdowns. I don't know how many receiving off the top of my head, but awesome dude, former All-Pro. Steven Davis will be joining us in the War Room next week as well. So a couple episodes coming up with great guests. We'll still have our normal breakdown episode next Tuesday as well. So make sure you follow, subscribe, tune in, comment. We're definitely going to start picking things back up with football season approaching and then getting some more guests on. So
it's a strong position of wide receivers next week, everybody.
Goodness gracious.
Ooh, we got a doozy for y'all next week. You thought quarterbacks were rough. Wait till you get to the wide receivers. All right, guys. So
without a quarterback,
I've got two, in fact.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Actually, no, three, because we have the Mahomes Slayer in AOC. Forgot about him.
Cody, how do you feel? You're about to have another episode where the Raiders are the worst position group, like by far.
It's all right, Cody. Chiefs are better.
Chiefs are still better, even with all their problems right now.
Better than the Chiefs.
No, I'm still taking Chiefs, but it's not by a lot.
I don't know. I think it's by a lot. I think Xavier Worthy is better than any player that the Raiders have. So,
unless the Raiders sign Stephon Diggs, that's the only way we kind of creep into this like top 4 out of 4 teams. So it's still rough.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's not moving anybody 6 to midnight. That's not a move to get excited about. So
you guys will go from 32nd to 31st. Congratulations.
There we go. There it goes from 6 to maybe 7.
There you go. All right, guys. So that is it for West War Room Rivals. Subscribe to us on the YouTube that you guys are watching us on, or follow us right above Austin's head. You can see all of our social media links right there. Click on that. And shout out to JBW Solutions LLC. Go to jbwsolutionsllc.com today for safety compliance and OSHA regulations, along with some other great stuff. They are booming right now on business. They've been sharing so much stuff of all the stuff that they are expanding within their company. They offer so much more than just safety training and compliances. So check them out. Also, Angie and her team and Emporia State Federal Credit Union, Day One supporters. Shout out to you guys. And also Troy, my fellow Raider fan at Field Ops. If you guys need any court markings, reach out to Troy and the team at Field Ops. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, guys. We will catch you guys tomorrow, and we'll see you.